Hey, and welcome to another brand new episode of the Being Podcast, a safe space that I've created for us to come together and to continue to just share with one another, encourage each other, all the things so that we can think about and tweak if we need to the ways in which we believe, engage, innovate, navigate, and gain in every area of our lives. I am your host, your girl Jada, and as always, thank you so much for tuning in, for giving me a little bit of your time, for giving me your feedback, and for sharing with other people that you think that this podcast episode and any episode may bless somebody else, because that is what it's about. As you know, I truly believe we are better together than when we are apart. We are not in this life alone. And so for sharing, thank you so much for that. I am just beyond grateful. So there's that. So this is the last episode of season number 3. And I mean, it flies by. It's insane. This is like one thing that I have definitely tried my hardest at staying consistent with, as a wife, a mom, an employee, and a coach, all of the things, all the hats that I wear. It's difficult sometimes, or it's easy for me to be like, "Ooh, let me put that off," or "Oh, this can wait." But for this time, not just for myself, but definitely for you, I love being here each and every week, and it does not go unnoticed when you all are like, "That was great. Thank you for that piece of advice," or that way of looking at it. And so it just motivates me, right? And I say that all the time, but I really want you to know that it does encourage me to come back week after week and having, one thing that is a constant, if you will, in my life right now. So if I am up in your ear, as always, hey, and if you're watching me, hello. I just like this time together. So as we are going into this last episode, I'm giving myself, I teased it out a couple of episodes ago. I said, okay, I'm going to be, probably away for about four weeks or so. But I'm going to be gone as long as it takes for me to continue to learn to make this a greater experience for you, a positive experience for you, and for me to know that I'm not so scattered, and hopefully it didn't come across like that, but I really want to just hone in and really come bring quality episodes to you each and every week. So I am going to take some time this summer, one, to work on some things for myself, two, to spend some much needed time with my babies, because I told y'all we going slow to go fast this summer, and just to kind of reset and recharge, if you will. So I will be back when I'm back, but I will let you know. So make sure you're following me on all of the social media platforms. I'll make sure to put that in to the show notes so that you are able to follow me and keep in touch with me over these next few weeks. So with that, I just kind of wanted to wrap it up and kind of remind you, especially if you're new, hey, of what we kind of covered this season. I know when I first started, I wanted to talk about 3 main pillars, right? I wanted to talk about our mindset. What are the things we're telling ourselves? What are the things that we, believe, which may or may not be true, right? What are the things that, go back to our self identity, our true core of who we are, right? Because just like me having all those titles, I'm sure you have a lot of titles too. And so a lot of times we as in like busy women, definitely as mama bears, we get lost in the sauce, right? It's like, who are we at our core? And just to really dig deep and to take a moment to think about that, and to know that, yes, as much as we give to everybody else, we need to give to ourselves, right? So taking time to do that. So we talked about mindset a lot. Had an episode talking about change your mind, change your life, right? Because a lot of times our bodies will go where our minds tell it to. The things that we're listening to, watching, all of that, kind of, not kind of, I mean, it really does impact our thoughts and then our words and our actions, right? So if we're changing our minds, then we can change our lives. If we're really tapping into who we are, who we want to be, who we envision ourselves to be, then we can make steps towards that, right? So we talked about mindset a lot, talked about being intentional. That was one of my big words for like years, and it still is, right? What am I intentionally trying to do? Because if you're like me, If you're like me, a lot of times it feels like we're always reacting, right? Like, okay, this came up, so let me take care of this. Oh, this popped up, let me take care of this. And so we may set our intentions, but are we following through and then executing on those? Are we like, okay, here's the roadmap, here's the plan, so that I know that I am making that forward progress, right? And not every day is going to look the same, but what little bit am I doing every day to move the needle to make that trajectory, go in the direction that I want to? And that feeds back into our mindset, like what are we telling ourselves and all of that, right? So the second piece, the second big piece I talked about or wanted to talk about, did a little bit, maybe not as much as I wanted to. So I'll go back and look at that and see how we can still incorporate some of these things. But the second pillar, if you will, was about communication. So how are we communicating to ourselves? Are we being kind to ourselves? Are we being too lenient on ourselves, right? Are we giving in to ourselves, or are we giving ourselves tough love and grace when we need it, space when we need it, the opportunity to just say, you know what, can't do it right now, I'll get back to it. Communicating what we need to those who can help us. How many of us are like, if I don't do it, it's not going to be done right, and therefore we put it all on us instead of like talking to those who can help us. I have shared and I will continue to share, I learn from any and everybody, even with my littles. Like I will be like, hey baby girl, this is what mommy is going through, this is what I need for you to help me out a little bit, right? So communicating what I need in that moment and explaining why I need it, and it helps for her or for my husband, my friends, anybody, to say, okay, let me assist her, because she's at least being vulnerable enough to come to me, and I've created a safe space that she can come to me to be able to help her. So how do we communicate to ourselves? How do we communicate to other people so we can accomplish our dreams, our goals, our wishes, our desires, all the things? So speaking about grace, I talked about it is okay, and we need to give ourselves grace. So many times we will extend all the things to everybody else, right? Like, hey, you're good. Take your time. It's okay. And then for us, we will be our biggest critics, and we will tear ourselves down, and we won't give ourselves what we need. And so it is okay to receive grace from other people and to give ourselves grace. So make sure you continue to do that. A few other things. I'm always talking about reaching for your dreams and your goals, right? Your wishes, your wants, your desires, all the things. We should be doing that, because as much as we pour into our babies or companies, friends, spouses, all of the things, we need to know that we need to give ourselves that too, and to create that atmosphere that we are able to do that and being okay with that. And for people to jump in and be like, hey, I'm gonna support you. How can I support you? Allowing them to do that. It's only going to make us better. A few other things. Let's see. A big one I talked about. In order for us to receive, sometimes we have to let go, and it's hard. And this episode really came with me having a friendship that I held very near and dear to my heart, right? And understanding that as much as I wanted it, as much as I wanted to be there, as much as I wanted to give, you know, it wasn't coming back, and it wasn't fully being received and welcomed. And so I had to understand that I too have to have boundaries. I too have to protect myself, right? In my space. And that I had to come to terms with being okay with letting that go. And it's hard, but that is what sparked that conversation. So go take a listen to it. If you're going through something right now, sometimes we can't receive more. If you're watching me, you see my fist balled up. If you're listening, like I have my hands, in fist. Because if we're holding on so tight, don't want to let go, don't want to lose anything, then we can't receive anything else. So sometimes we have to open our hands, we have to let go, we have to trust the process, we have to trust, God has our best interest at heart, and sometimes we have to let go to receive. And I promise, I'm still here, I'm still standing, I'm still smiling, I am still going through, and it's going to be okay, right? Let's see, what else? Feeling the feels. Your girl is big on life is going life. We all know that, right? And so we do the best we can in preparing ourselves, right? We're trying to build our kit bags. We're trying to put in the skills and the tools and the hacks and all of the things. And we try to set ourselves up for success. But sometimes life is still going to life. And so what do we have to do? Step one, Give yourself back that grace and some space to feel whatever you're feeling. And it could be something that's very exciting, right? Like you got to celebrate the wins. And sometimes you have to feel the lows, right? And it's not to feel it to stay there. It's not to feel it to blame anybody. It's just, it is what it is. And we have to recognize that. We have to accept it. And then we look at it and we say, all right, how do I turn this around for my greater good? How do I turn this around for the greater good of the group or for whoever or whatever it is, right? But mainly, like for us, if something is happening to us, we have to take a moment and take a beat and take a breath and be in it for a minute and then see what we can learn from it and then move forward. And there's nothing wrong with that. Um, it is okay to say no. We talked about that this season, right? It is okay to say no. I've been teaching my babies. If you're new, I have a almost 8 year old, and the twins will be 4 in just a couple of weeks. And I had to explain to them, I'm like, when mommy says no, no is a word and no is a whole sentence. And now they repeat that to me. I'm like, what does that mean? No is a word and it's a sentence, right? Because sometimes that is what it is. I don't need any pushback. I don't need any arguing, no negotiating, whether it's a 3 year old or a 60 something year old. I'm going to decide again those boundaries and the things that are going to feel good for me to deal with, right? And not that it's about me controlling everything because I can't control other people. You can't control other people, but it's about what are our boundaries and what can we receive? What can we accept? What can we deal with? And sometimes the answer is just no. Maybe it's not right now. Maybe it's a little bit later. And sometimes it's just flat out no. And that is okay. And then on the flip side of that, what it feels like when we get to say yes to things, right? And get to live in that and to, get past our fears and all of the things that stop us and hold us back. Or like if you are a mama, when your kids want stuff all the time and we're just so accustomed to saying no, go sit down, not right now, right? But when we get to say yes and we get to brighten their days and we get to also get to experience it, because sometimes yes may be for them but it may be for us. So what it feels like to say yes. So not every situation is going to have the same blanketed answer, and so we have to be able to be resilient. We have to be able to recognize the situation, and we get to say yes, we get to say no, we get to roll with it, and then we get to see what comes from it, and then we tweak it if we need to, because I'm sure life is going to life and come bring it back. All right. So we talked about that, talked about setting boundaries, self-care, however that looks for you. Maybe it's a nap, maybe it's a massage, maybe it's getting your hair done, those are things I like. But maybe it's going for a hike. Like I have friends that love the outdoors or being on water, or maybe it's reading a book. A lot of us are really getting into books or spending time at church or in the community, whatever that looks like. Self-care is different for all of us. But don't forget to pour into you, because why? We can't pour from empty cups. So make sure to get that in. Um, and last but not least, and I'll leave you with this. Last week I talked about being where your feet are, being present. And that has what is driving me to like pull back a little bit. It's also causing me to say, you know what? I do have some goals and some dreams that I'm still going after that I'm going to work on. But in order for me to work on those, I have to let go of some other stuff or put some stuff on ice for a little bit, and that's okay, and being okay with that. But more than that, being present, right? So summertime can either be very busy or it can allow for us to take a beat, take a breath, take a pause, reevaluate some things, because we'll be soon busy with all the things fall and holidays and all that we talked about, right? So just being present, being where your feet are. So if you are with your family, enjoy your family. If you're working, then you're working, right? If you have time for yourself, put that phone on do not disturb and have time for yourself, right? So being where our feet are. So just want to kind of recap everything I tried to touch on this season. Please go take a listen. I try to keep them pretty short so you can just binge listen or binge watch if you're watching. Hey, hey, hey. I appreciate you always. Leave me a comment. Follow me this summer so I can get to know you, and you can get to know me, see what's going on. And I cannot wait to be back with you all soon as I continue to learn and continue to grow, continue to just be everything that I can possibly be, who I've been called by God to be for whoever I am supposed to be in front of. or in your ear. So, with that, thank you for another wonderful season, for rocking with me, for allowing me to be out here trying to fix the plane as it flies. And so now I'm about to put it on the ground and we're going to get it all together. But for just being here and sharing and allowing me a little bit of time in your life, in your world. And I will see you soon. All right, y'all. Take care. Bye.